Welcome back you guys to World of Clash. My name is Michael, and today as part of the Clash of Clans 4-year anniversary for Clan Wars, I'm going to be going through the entire history of Clan Wars with you guys. So Clan Wars have pretty much become the backbone of the game, as it's a great game mode that brings clans together and creates incentive to work together and help each other out. Not to mention, it's also a great way to showcase skill and or the lack of. So 4 years ago, as some of you may remember, Clan Wars were way different back then, and it's not nearly what it is now. So many small but imperative features like having an actual war base weren't even in Clan Wars when it was first released. And Supercell has done an awesome job making sure Clan Wars have become what it is today, but to be honest, it took a little while for it to make it this far. So let's go through the entire Clash of Clans history and see how it all started. And also, before we dive into that, if you are interested in participating in a 50 vs 50 ground vs air clan war between Clash News Hub and HWCWL, then go ahead and check the description down below for the signups and more information. But apart from that, let's go ahead and dive into today's video. April 9th, 2014, the beginning of Clan Wars. So this was when Clan Wars were very first introduced into Clash of Clans. There was a full week of sneak peeks leading up to it, and the entire community got super hyped over this. The game was sort of on a bit of a decline at that time, however the Clan Wars did a fantastic job at bringing a huge portion of the player base back to the game, and it really helped revamp the game. Along with the new Clan Wars, they also added in two brand new achievements called the War Heroes and then the Spoils of War. The War Hero was just for however many stars you can get, and then Spoils of War was how much loot you could collect. But back then, at the beginning of Clan Wars, it really wasn't as complicated there weren't as many features added back then as there is now. So for example, there was no saved war bases. You actually had to use the same base as your regular village, and back then, farming was still a very big thing. So if you had your town hall outside, that would actually be your war base as well. So it wasn't very good, since usually your farming base was just there to protect resources and stuff, and most people didn't really actually have many different layouts other than farming bases, so usually that is what they were stuck with for war, unless they specifically went out of their way to create an actual base. And then back then, you didn't actually get nearly as much loot as you do now for winning wars. It usually actually wasn't even worth the amount that it costed to train up a good war army. Usually you would actually be losing loot whether you won or lost, so the loot was really bad back then. The matchmaking algorithm wasn't as good back then, but it didn't really affect us too much because there were a lot of clans searching, so usually the matchups were decently fair, and engineering wasn't really a thing back then because there wasn't really any point to doing that, because before then there was no Clan Wars, so it was just like farming and trophy pushing. So back then it would be to your advantage to build your expos or build your Inferno Towers and all of that. Then also the worst part by far about the initial release of the Clan Wars was that you couldn't actually choose who was in war. The way that it was done is whenever you would search for war, it would just take the top players, it would take the maximum amount of top players that you had to create an even war. So if you had say 9 people in your clan, it would take the top 5, or say you had like 37 people, it would take 35 players from your clan, and you wouldn't be able to choose which 35 of them would actually be in the war. It would just take the top players based on the trophies, and then those would be the people that would participate in war. So that part really sucked, as if you didn't have a lot of trophies because you were farming, then you wouldn't actually be able to be put in war unless they kicked someone else or something like that. There also were no stats, so you can actually see your how many war stars you had and all of that. And then also engineering bases, like I mentioned earlier, were not a thing back then. And then there was also no war tiebreakers, so if ever a war ended in a tie, there would not go to the total destruction or anything like that. So that was the very first update on April 9th, 2014. Also, I'm curious to see when most of you guys ended up playing Clash of Clans and where along this update timeline when you first started playing Clash of Clans. Maybe it was before the Clan Wars update, or maybe it was like halfway through the timeline of the Clan Wars. So go ahead down below and let me know what year you started Clash of Clans. I personally started back in 2013, but go ahead and let me know when you guys started. And then the next one is the 16th of May 2014, and this added the introduction of saved war bases. So no longer did you have to use your farming base in Clan Wars. You would actually be able to create a specific war base, and then you would be able to use that for war. So that was a great addition to the game. And then the next thing was the Clan Wars stats page. So now they added in a page where it would showcase the most heroic attacks and defenses on both sides. It would show how many 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars, and 0 stars you had, how many attacks were used, how many are left, and then it would also it would also show some stats for individual players, for example how many war stars or attacks each player has used. So that was a great addition as well. And then you would also be able to dismiss troops in your clan castle, because before that was added, you would actually be stuck with whatever you were donated. So if someone donated you goblins in your war clan castle, that is what you would be stuck with. But back then you still didn't have the personalized request where you could actually write a short little spiel on what you want in your war clan castle. And then they also ended up adding, this was a really small addition actually, it's just where they added numbers to bases. So on the war map it would say basically 1 next to the top guy and then go all the way down to whoever the last guy is. Honestly not a very big change, but I guess kind of helpful in a way. And then the last thing they added was whenever a co-leader or a leader starts searching for a war, it'll show up in the chat log. And then right before we move on to the next one, I'm also thinking of turning this full history of Clash of Clans into a mini-series where I'll go back into the dark depths of the Clash history and show you guys just how much the game has changed over the year. And I was considering doing this one, next on the history of the best Clash of Clans YouTubers, or maybe like the best attack strategies or the best bases of all time. So let me know if that is something you guys might want to see. Just let me know down in the comments below and I will definitely get to work on that. But anyways, next up, the 22nd of October 2014, this was a very small addition. All they added was the clan preferences. So you would be able to change in your clan settings your war frequency to either like never, always, sometimes, twice a week, once a week. I believe that is all the options. But that is what they added. And then the next one was on the 11th of December 2014, where they added multiple war layouts, and this was also for home village as well. So you would be able to create 3 different layouts for your home village and then 3 different layouts for your war. And then you would be able to switch in between those. And then on the 24th of February 2015, they added clan levels and perks. And then this was really great because it added something for clans to work on towards. And this was really great because it added something for clans to work towards, and it was hugely rewarding for the higher level clans, as they would be able to get extra loot from wars, they'd be able to hold more in their treasury or their clan castles, and they would also be able to get the free troop upgrades, and then they would also be able to get the donation refund whenever they donate troops and all of those other awesome perks. And not to mention, it's also a great way to distinguish between good war clans and not so good ones, and it adds a bit of a prestige to the higher level clans. And then next up is the 30th of April 2015, and this was just a army preview before attacking to prevent people from accidentally forgetting a spell or a hero or like anything like that. So right before you end up doing your war attack, when you click that attack button, it'll show up. One of those those army previews will pop up, and it'll show you if you're forgetting, say, a troop or a spell or anything like that. It can be really helpful, but at times I completely ignore it and I still end up forgetting my hero or my spell or something like that. But it is a nice little quality of life change, I would say. And then up next, still in 2015, we have the 9th of September 2015, and they finally added in the Clan War Tiebreaker, because until now it was just any wars that ended in tied war stars, it just ends in a tie, and that is that. But now they added the total destruction in as the tiebreaker. Now moving on to 2016, on the 26th of January, 2 days after my birthday actually, but this was the addition of the treasury to protect war loot instead of war loot storage. So before that, all of our loot just went straight to our clan castle, and our clan castle kind of acted just as basically a storage. So whenever people destroyed it, they would take a good portion of that loot from it. But the treasury, what it does is it's better at protecting the loot basically, so they can only take a very, very small percentage of whatever is sitting in your treasury, and then it also kind of bumps up your total storages that you can hold for, say, gold, elixir, and dark elixir, because the maximum right now is 10 million, but including the treasury you can hold up to like 13 million. Moving on, the 21st of March 2016, they removed the 35v35 and 45v45 wars to boost the size of the other wars, so in hopes to make people do like 30v30, 40v40, and 50v50 wars. They also added in a new statistic called the New War Win Streak, and at the moment the world record is 410, which is absolutely insane. I don't think these guys have like ever lost a war. I'll just go ahead and flash up on screen right now. This comes from clashstats.com, I believe. You can go ahead, check it out, and see how well your clan is doing and all of that. But yeah, the world record is 410 wins. That is that's more wars than I've even been in, I think. But anyways, they also added in the war events page. They had they didn't add it in. They had a whole overhaul to it to make it look cleaner and easier to navigate. Then on the 24th of May 2016, they added in the public war logs, or at least they added in the option of that. If you want to make it public, you could, or if you want to keep it private, you could do that as well. And then they also added in the live spectator count, so whenever people were live spectating you, it would show you how many people exactly are watching. And then on the 12th of October 2016, they finally added in the friendly wars, and this subsequently initiated the formation of like fan-made leagues like the CWL, HWCL, and tons of other leagues. So this was a great addition that created so much more room for the communities to work with, and then create some of our own little mini games or tournaments and stuff within the game. So that is really great. And then moving on to the 27th of September 2017, this was not too long ago actually, they did a whole clan war matchmaking algorithm change. And no one really knows what exactly they changed, but they did mention quite a bit on how it's meant to make it easier for them to tweak and change more often so that they can keep up, they can keep wars balanced for everyone. And its main focus was to deal with all those engineered bases, since those had become a really big thing, and to balance out the offensive war weight and the defensive war weights. It's still not perfect in my opinion, but it is still much better than it used to be, and it's done a great job at kind of removing the engineered bases from regular clan wars, or at least the engineered bases will go up against other engineered bases, which is fantastic and creates a really a much more fun and balanced war system for everyone. And then moving on to the 11th of October 2017, they reintroduced 35v35 and 45v45 clan wars once again. So they kind of removed it like 1 year before, and now they just brought it back for whatever reason. And then now they also added in a feature where you are notified whenever there is a live attack in war. You'll start to see that war icon. It'll start like animating where the swords will start slashing each other. And then they also added in the live spectators. They increased the maximum amount to 30. And then the very last and most recent change came on the 18th of December 2017, where they added in clan game challenges, and then some of those challenges were included in war, where you have to get like a certain amount of war stars to get some clan points for your clan. But anyways, that is the full history of Clash of Clans ever since April 9th, 2014, so exactly 4 years ago. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and then comment down below if you do want to see this full history of Clash of Clans mini-series continue on, and let me know any suggestions you guys have on what the next video should be. And like I mentioned before earlier in the video, if you want to participate in the 50v50 ground versus air clan war between Clash News Hub and HWCWL, then go ahead, check out the description down below for the signups and more information. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.